Well, it's becoming the new tagline on the intro. I totally forgot to start the video. We've been monkeying. We got the new feet, but you got to sand them down a little bit and run them a little bit. It's funny, it fits the old skinnier fan, but these newer ones, these feet that I just bought, just took out of the package from Spall, they don't fit very well. And if you try to hammer them down, you're going to break them. We learned that last time. So we're getting ready to pull that back out. I've already played belt games. I did get a 47.5-inch belt. And the downside to it, because it does give us more room, but now the turnbuckle is all the way out. I've already pulled, and I should have recorded this. I didn't. Had that out, marked on here where, pull it out. It was like 5 threads on each side, and I am not going to take the risk on that. So we would either have to get longer hind bolts or a new turnbuckle to use that. But I'm going to look and see if there's a 47.25. I'm not certain that there is. But we do have options going forward if we have an interference issue right here with the fan motor. So that's all we want to know anyway. So I've got the feet on this fan. I'm almost done putting the feet on that fan. All the fittings that I ordered that were supposed to be here today, I got an email from Summit this morning saying, oh, we're a little behind or something to that effect. So, you know, apparently they, once again, shipping. So we're going to go ahead and get this last foot put, or these last 2 feet put on, and pull the radiator, and I will turn this back on when we're recentering fans. All right, I think we're getting close to our final position. This is the lower radiator hose. I have this fan as far over as practical, so that we can move this fan as far over as practical, which will probably be right in here. I'm going to make sure it stays off of that tab right there. So we got to get that placed. You know, and if I have to rotate them a little bit, I can. I have that ability. I just want this fan as far over as possible to keep that as far away from that belt, because remember that belt runs right here. So I want that as far off of that as I can get. So, alright, I'll bring it back after a bit. Okay, we're playing the test fitty games for our final side-to-side alignment, and then we just remembered that we wanted to put that back on since it's going to clear. So we're pulling this all back out. We were just playing side to side, trying to get our best compromise between clearing the water pump pulley, but also clearing the belt. So this is always a bunch to do. Okay, I think we're getting close to our placement. It's putting the nose cone on now. No, tons of room on this side. But then you start to get a stinky suspicion that that's going to be snug. It fits, but it doesn't fit by a lot. And once we stretch this belt out, it's going to be kind of tight in here. He's almost got the nose cone back on. But yeah, it's we always knew it was going to be a snug fit. Okay, so he's finally got the nose cone on. And you can see looking down here, we actually have a little more clearance than we had before, so it's getting better. I've been tweaking on this. What I'm trying to do is not rub here and not rub over there, but get as much clearance as we can. You know, I don't have a lot of side-to-side motion that I can take advantage of, because the engine will move a little, even on the pretty solid mounts we have. It's going to move some. You know, this is a lot of motor, so let's not destroy our radiator. Okay, it's too late to play cutting and welding games, but we're starting to do some mapping and figuring. So pretend that that's the right size pipe at the right length to fit here, and pretend that it clears the back of the alternator and hopefully clears the new valve cover. And pretend that this bend was further out and had a little swoosh in it right here. Boy, you'd only need two little couplers of rubber on each end, and that would really be nice. You can get that powder coated, because what we're noticing, see, that angle would be perfectly fine, but obviously it comes out too high, which means it's going to have to get cut and centered over here, or bent, you know, I don't know what on earth you'd be able to bend that on to bring it out, because basically what we got to do is come up over the alternator and around and in. The one down here I don't think is going to be too complicated. That's just got to come out, swoop over, and swoop up. So 2 bendies and the length of tube, and I think we got that solved. But this one's got to clear the alternator, especially if we ever decide to go to a longer belt in the future. We still got to continue clearing the alternator. So we got to work that out. We got to think that through. All right, we're playing with hoses, trying to find the right shapes and sizes. You know, we're gonna see if John can bend us up some little angles we can play with and kind of chop and put together so that we can have them bent a little nicer. But we really are starting to think if we can just find a nice piece of hose to go to here, and then we can handle that. Just trying to do this and up and over and coming around, and we're not feeling warm and fuzzy on that one. Down here is really not too bad. We have a hose that almost would fit, but you know, you gotta twist it a little bit, and I don't like that idea. So we're getting closer. I think that's something that can be sorted out. I can tell you, sure is nice to have a car where you can actually see all those freaking spark plugs. I'm tired of working on things where I can't work on it anymore. I'm getting too old. And still can't get over how nice this is. God, I like that. I sure wish all that stuff would have shown up, but shipping nowadays just isn't what it once was. So I imagine that stuff will show up first thing tomorrow morning, because that's how life always works. So we didn't work on the throttle linkage, which is mostly what I was interested in attempting. The hoses are just not that big a deal, and I did order not only that, but there's a fitting here, so we've got a gauge to squirrel in here for when we're doing our initial setup, so we can tell what the actual fuel pressure is. I doubt we're gonna bother putting it on an angle and making it easier to read, because we're only going to have to read it for troubleshooting and for initial setup. So I think reading it from across the car like this will be just fine. The hoses won't be a big deal at all. Just want to make sure that the throttle linkage works out the way we want it to before I run those hoses, just to make sure nothing's in the way. So I don't like things rubbing on hoses. You know, you always pay for that in the long run. So unfortunately, shipping delays are what they are, but we did get fans on the radiator. I'm pretty happy about that. It's about bloody time. And yeah, you can see from this angle just how drastic some of the angles are. I'm sure when they started working all this out in the beginning that they thought this radiator was going to be more straight up and down, but I don't know what they were thinking with those little 800 CFM fans. There was zero chance that was going to cool a 600 plus horsepower motor. So now we get a little bit more airflow here. I'm trying to remember, I think these were 1700 piece, so that should do a much better job of cooling this motor down. I just, you know, like always, I'm worried things are a little tight, but I think we're within our margin of error. I think it's not going to be a big deal. So, all right, that's kind of what I've got for right now. All right, and we're closing her out for the day. So, I got her sitting up. Almost caused a problem back here. Didn't know that drum was off, and I was playing with the brake pedal. And thank God he said, hey, you know there's a drum off, before I blew a wheel cylinder. That's always good. But starting to kind of figure out where that's going to wind up when we drill that hole. It's going to be right behind the valve cover. So I'm going to have him go ahead and add at least this valve cover of the real ones, just so we can make a measurement and verify that everything's going to be kosher. There's not a lot of options. I mean, it's going to have to be there. But if we need to turn it real fast, the sooner we know that, the better. So that's going to be it for the Henry today. Let's see, she's just sitting here waiting to come to the shop for some wiring. It'll be a little while yet, a couple more weeks, but if we can get a little bit more done before it's on jack stands, sure would be handy. So, thanks for watching. This has been a ShopRex approved video. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.